voice activated anything is so hot right now. And again, if we look at current trends and we look at what's happening in real time in our world, we're all going to be struggling with hygiene. And how do we move through global pandemics and post-global pandemics?
Yeah.
And so I think voice activation is going to be really important in connected devices. So stopping in big stadiums or big global events or in
Hi all and welcome to Engati Engage. I am Drishti Shah from the Engati team and today we have the pleasure of welcoming Lori H. Schwartz to our interview series. I would like to begin with just a quick intro of Engati. So Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform available across 14 channels with 25,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by INC, Tech World, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati Engage podcast, receiving upwards of 300,000 visitors and now for our guest. Lori is an experiential marketing executive. Her initiative pairs brands, storytellers, and tech companies together to create experiences that foster business success. Principal curator of experiences at StoryTech, Lori is a true tech analyst or a tech cat for short. As a leading advisor and speaker in marketing and tech innovation, Lori collaborates with top creative and strategic executives for multiple brands, tech, and content companies. Her goal is to ensure an understanding of emerging business models while designing unique experiences to create engagement. Lori has also been technology contributor to CNN and the governor for the Academy of Television Arts and Science. So, Lori, we are really thrilled to have you on Engati.
oh, it's great to be here. Thank you. Thanks for the op.
So before diving into the first question, here's a quick announcement. We have something very special for all of you, the entire audience. So stick around till the end of the interview and subscribe to hear more from the thought leaders around the world. So,
Oh, I love
Lori,
surprises.
being the
I'm sorry, say it again.
yeah. So beginning with the first question we have that being a tech catalyst, what are some key points that you consider while providing consultation to your clients?
I think the most important thing when you're getting clients or anybody to really understand the opportunities in technology and in trying anything new is to do it in with a story. Tell stories about it so that people can understand, because people's brains work with story. And so whenever I'm explaining a new technology, a new trend, a new idea, I really try and make it human and relatable so that even in a B2B environment, people are thinking like B2C. They're thinking like human beings. And so you want to make sure that you tell a story that they can relate to so that they can understand the concepts. And I think that's really important, because if you get into high level, really craziness, people shut down and they get intimidated and they don't always jump on the opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. So when entering the experience economy, be it customer experience, employee experience, or human experience. So why do you consider this to be relevant to businesses looking into the future?
How somebody interacts with something is a big foreteller of whether they will engage and continue the experience. And so if you don't think about what that experience is when you're building a new product, when you're creating a web page, when you're doing anything really in services, you're going to lose that person. So you
Right.
have to make things so that everyone understands what's going on, so that they're comfortable, so that their path is designed to satisfy the reason that they're there. Because if you don't do that, they're going to just leave.
Yeah.
And we're all walking around with ADHD anyway, and we're all easily distracted. And
Yeah.
so the more that you design an experience based on who that person is, whether it's segmenting data that you use or whatever it is that you have about them that helps guide them. It's so pivotal to keeping them engaged.
Yeah. So if it is more like that, you develop it for the customers and not like how you want to deliver it. It is always about the segment that you are targeting for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why data is so important. And there is a lot of traditional data that is available for businesses and their consumers. And then there's new data coming on board, leveraging artificial intelligence and new data mining technologies. And one thing that I've noticed is people are throwing out all the insights they had in the past to look at these new data mining engines, machine learning and other things like that. And I don't think you should be doing that either. I think you should be combining what you always knew about your consumer, your audience, and then leveraging the newer channels to help understand them better. And then you can have really good comprehensive information about your audience. So that's really important.
What do you think are the customer trends we are seeing today, outbound of the pandemic, that are here to stay?
I think one of the biggest trends that everyone's really talking about and trying to understand is personalization. So how do you create an experience that's really targeted to that person? And it can't only be the traditional demographics that we were talking about, because segmenting before was very much based on demographic information. But what I think we're finding now is that there are a lot of different inputs. And with the advancement in technologies, we're starting to see new segments, right? They could be technographic segments, so it's how you use devices. It could be life
Yeah,
stage. It could be a lot of different things. So we have to look at a lot of data points, not just the traditional ones, to really understand who that person is and to deliver to them. And I always talk about how um, grandchildren are bringing grandparents into the digital world. So you're going to start to see boomers and traditionalists, then I'm just calling them by traditional marketing segments, our behaviors are starting to parallel millennials and younger because of
right.
that grandparent um, relationship. And so now you have a whole new audience to target to, similarly that you would to a millennial. And so you want to really
Yeah,
understand your data and your behaviors and what story you're trying to tell.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually like every digital tool that is made, it is mostly targeted to the young people, but eventually it comes down to all every generation coming and using it. It's like Facebook, how it has evolved. Like it was first only for Gen Z and millennials, but I think now even 50-year-olds are more on Facebook than the millennials or we are using. So I
Yeah.
think there's a
No.
shift.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think there will be some platforms, some technologies that um, boomers and traditionalists and Gen X may never adopt to, and then there are some that will.
Yeah,
And certainly there are people that are, you know, our younger generation's brains are being wired differently because of their constant use of these platforms, and so there's a cognitive truth to that, so that
yeah,
someone who hasn't been exposed to all of this may not feel comfortable cognitively to
yeah,
adopt to all this new technology. And so you just have to understand that, and it's not
yeah,
because they're a Luddite or because they're afraid of technology. It's really because their brains aren't wired for it. And we just have to understand that.
yeah. So, in this world where there's the gap between generations, how do you think like data is helping in segmentation or targeting basically?
I think the more that we use things and are online and use digital platforms and IoT and connected platforms, the more
Yeah,
data we get about people, and then the more we can understand what their needs are, And then the more that we understand their needs, the more we can create that experience that we were talking about earlier. So it's just
Yeah.
like, I would love it, and I know this is happening, but not yet for me, if when my K-cups ran out for my coffee maker, that a shipment just showed up. And so that fulfillment was actually tied to behavior, not to me saying every 30 days on Amazon, ship me a package of K-cups. I would rather
Yeah.
that it actually responded to my usage, because there's actually months where I don't use as much or I use more, or if I'm well, when we used to travel. But the same thing with dishwashing liquid and paper products and all these different things that are all about fulfillment and remembering to order, or doing that. So that's the personalization that I think will be gold, not only for the consumer, but also for the product manufacturers, who will be able to really understand need based on data, as opposed to some grander ideas about time, because time is not always the best, you know, way to track usage. There are
Yes.
many things that change our lives. Um,
Yeah.
so it needs to be really, I would use the word real time. I think real time is the most important idea that anybody right now can really wrap their head around, and that's responding in real time to everything,
Yeah.
because that's the expectation of most consumers, even though they're not saying it. Like, we're all suffering right now because we're used to Amazon almost reading our minds and delivering something within the same day. We got so used to it, and because of the disruption due to the coronavirus, all of a sudden now it's taking weeks for delivery, and so your mindset's changed. And so we really have to understand and map to consumer expectations, but we also have to be brave and daring as marketers and as brands, and also set those expectations correctly. And that
Yeah.
can be done through personalization and through correct targeting.
Yeah. That's true. So, speaking about customer experience and personalization, how do you think uh, chatbots can help bridging this gap?
Well, I think chatbots are a great tool to handle the daily tasks at hand for information that customers need,
Yeah.
questions that need to be answered, data points that need to be delivered really timely, that will help a customer move to the next part of their journey, and not try and do too much either. Not try and be too human, or too substituting for a living person,
Yeah.
because that's distracting to people too, and that's when chatbots get a bad name, or when people respond negatively to them. They're not human, but they are a chance to have some personification in the experience, but not too much. And that's
Yes.
why you're seeing that a lot of virtual beings that are being created are being made not to look human. Because if your brain keeps trying to say they're human, and they're not, you're going to break from that experience. So a chatbot needs to stay a chatbot, but it can provide a really great experience in delivering information. I'm a big online shopper. I have a younger kid. I'm often buying her clothes online, especially right now, but always before as well, as a busy working
Yeah.
mom. And I appreciated when the chatbots would come up and give me product information,
Yes.
or tell me what model number I needed, or what URL to go to, or a data point about delivery times, or things like that. That's the kind of stuff that we all need and want, and will help make a smooth transaction happen.
Yes. That's true. So, what do you think we'll see future trends in the field of IoT, RPA, and conversational AI?
Well, I think voice activated anything is so hot right now.
Yeah.
And again, if we look at current trends and we look at what's happening in real time in our world, we're all going to be struggling with hygiene. And how do we move through global pandemics and post global pandemics?
Yeah.
And so I think voice activation is going to be really important in connected devices. So stopping in big stadiums or at big global events or in mass transit, any of those environments where a consumer needs to touch things or move things or interact with things, if voice could handle those tasks to keep hands away from touching things,
Yeah.
I think that's great. And also, it's more immediate and more cognitive because people definitely speak differently than they maybe write
Yeah.
or do other things. And so conversation, gives you clues.
Yeah.
And so I think when voice can start to read the timbre of voice and emotionalism and sentiment, that will get really interesting. But I think voice is going to play a pivotal role moving forward, especially with mass hygiene issues.
Yeah. That's true. I think virtual agents are something that the people are trying to adopt right now, and with voice interactions coming in, that would be a huge success for many companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think you just have to be careful. It's not human, these
Yeah,
things. So don't try and fake human,
yeah,
but make us comfortable by having a humanity to the experience. So it's that fine line you're walking, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, how has marketing evolved with these technology and automation until now? And what do you think will be the major shifts post pandemic?
I think that what marketers are going to be able to do is curate experiences and flavors for their consumer so that if I walk into my house, I can tell my house what color to turn the lights on and what scent to be and what flavor of coffee I want and all of these things to create an experience so that flavor and curation become a new IP. And it might be IP related to Hollywood or Bollywood or something like that, or it might be more time of day or mood. But
Right.
there'll be a curation involved in this that smart marketers can grab and use IoT and AI and machine learning and chatbots to follow through on that curation.
Yes. That's true, and I think like in this pandemic at least we are leveraging digital tools a lot, and that is going to give a competitive edge over the others when this pandemic is going to get over and we'll be back to normal when we'll be. But I think people who are adopting these digital tools are going to have uh, you know a step forward when others are not. Yeah.
Yeah, I think digital transformation is imperative right now in terms of the skill set in terms that you're using, and also in how you go to market. And that goes back
Yes.
to that real-time discussion,
Hmm.
real-time, being able to respond proactively and
Yes.
transparently as well, which is really important right now, is that this new generation coming up demands
Hmm.
transparency and new trends allow for that transparency, and so I think that's going to be an
Yeah, that's true.
expectation,
And also
right?
the data that is generated right now, because everybody is online, and I think there's a huge amount of data generated. And I think the tools will also help in, classifying trends and how people are behaving.
Yep,
So will help in the future as well.
that's right, absolutely right.
So, hearing about story tech, which it sounds like an interesting concept. So, can you tell us a bit about story tech?
Yeah, absolutely. So StoryTech is my company, and basically the way that name was born is I had some other partners when we created the company about 8 or 9 years ago, and what we were finding is that we had to explain a lot of technology to people. We were constantly doing a lot of education, and as I mentioned early on, that education took the form of storytelling because again, that's how our brains can really connect to new information. And when you're teaching, telling stories is a great way to do that. So we realized that we were telling the story about tech over and over again, and that there was a need to have someone come in between consumers, tech companies, brands, and experiences, and help create the synergy between all of them. Because what I was finding was that myself and my colleagues spoke tech, we spoke brand, we spoke content, and we
Yes.
spoke media. So we were a key connecting point to all of those parties who were swirling around each other, trying to understand how to interact. And so
Yes.
a lot of what I do is I tie people together and help them understand the opportunities, right, in a consultative manner. In the last few years, StoryTech has spent a lot of time at events, because events are a great place to have people in the past be live
Yes.
and be able to experience a new idea in person. And
Yes.
again, there's still a breakdown there. You still have to figure out a way to distill that information between the parties.
Yeah.
And so even in a virtual environment, that's the case. So in virtual environments and virtual events, which we're doing a lot of right now, we don't just want someone talking and streaming. We want to create interactivity. We want to match make using data in these platforms. We want to understand what's the best experience in a virtual environment to deliver so that the story has resonance
Yeah.
and means something. And so we're doing a lot of work in virtual conferences and virtual events right now to connect brands, media, exhibitors, sponsors, and attendees all together, because again, that story needs to be told. And it needs to be told in a personal way and in a way that resonates.
Yeah. That's a really great idea behind StoryTech. I think that's also inspiring, and I think the idea that it came to you and your colleagues 8 to 9 years ago, that is like something really advanced. And now that people are realizing it, you have, you know, created a beautiful journey from starting from the scratch to where we are right now. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are moments like what are happening in our world today, where it's more important than ever to connect to each other by a great story, because
yes,
that's what we all understand,
yeah,
and not to intimidate, but to really relate to people directly, you know. So yeah, so I hope it resonates, and we're here to support everybody in the best way that we can.
yeah. That's really nice.
I'm so glad you get it.
So, any last thoughts that you'd like to leave our audiences with?
Yeah, I think that now is a really good time to explore new things. We've been given a moment in time to try new things, to explore the unknown, and not to be intimidated, and to get great partners like
Yeah,
you guys, to help people move through this in a smart way. There are some great solutions out there, great partners. I think Chatbots is really, really smart right now, especially for e-commerce and other solutions where you want to deliver a great solution to consumers on their path in your world. And so not to be afraid to jump in. Try new things, and don't be afraid.
that was really nice, Lori. Thank you so much for
Oh,
giving
you're so
us your.
welcome.
Thank you so
Well, I
much.
hope I really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope everyone stays safe and smart and takes care of each other. And thank you so much. And coming from Los Angeles, we hope for the best for the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, if you stuck around for this long, we're so excited to announce that our ebook, The Evolution of Customer Experience, is out and available to download. So, you can check the link in the description below for more details. We'll be back with a new episode and a brand new expert soon. So, stay tuned. And also, we will see around you for the next one. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.